Question 24, again, we are asked to find the slope of the line that passes through the given points. And here we have the point -7, comma 1 and -2, comma -1. So just like we did with question 23, because we have been given 2 points, 2 ordered pairs, and have been asked to find the slope between these 2 points, all we have to do is use the slope formula. So m, which represents slope, m is equal to y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So let's take our 2 points, in this case -7 and +1, and -2, -1. We'll put these off to the side, and let's go ahead and, as I would recommend you do, label your points. So we'll let this be x sub 1, this will be x sub 2, and we will let this be y sub 1 and y sub 2. So now that we've got our points labeled, we know what formula we're using, let's just simply plug and chug. So we have m is equal to, well, what's y sub 2 based on how we labeled our points? Y sub 2 is -1 minus, which comes from the formula, y sub 1. Well, what's y sub 1 based on how we labeled our points? Looks like a +1 over x sub 2. How did we label? Well, based on how we labeled, x sub 2 is -2 minus x sub 1, which from the formula, or rather from our labeling, is -7. So now that we've plugged everything in, we can go ahead and clean this up a little. So upstairs in our numerator, when we distribute, we'll have -1 minus 1. So -1 minus 1 all over. And downstairs, again, we can also distribute. So we'll have -2. And a negative times a negative gives us a positive. So we end up with upstairs, -1 minus 1 is -2. All over downstairs, -2 plus 7 is a +5. So we end up with a slope of -2 over 5. So because we actually ended up with a real number here, we can go ahead and select choice A. The slope is, and notice what the kind of directions here off to the side say. It says type an integer, which means a whole number, so like 3 or -5 or something like that, or a simplified fraction. Well, in our case, -2 over 5 cannot be simplified, so that's exactly what we're going to enter. So you can say negative on your keyboard, and then you can come down here and see that there is a fraction button. So you can go ahead and hit this button, and notice that inserted a fraction for us with a blank numerator and blank denominator. So we can go ahead and say 2 over 5. And there we have it. But what this is saying here, the second part, type an integer or a simplified fraction, is this. Let's say, for example, we did all of our work and we ended up with m is equal to, I don't know, how about 6 over 10? Well, we wouldn't want to enter 6 over 10 as our answer because this can still be reduced, right? 6 and 10 have something in common. They have a 2 in common, so we would want to reduce this fraction. We would say, well, 2 goes into 6 3 times, and 2 goes into 10 5 times, so our reduced fraction would be 3 over 5. That's what we would enter in as our slope. So that's all this means, a simplified fraction. And of course, never, ever, 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 ever give your slope as a decimal. So there we have it. Question 24, the slope between these two given points is -2 over 5.